Democrats simply don't have the cold-heartedness necessary to see people suffering and just say, let them eat cake.
Yep. What's happening, everybody? Welcome to yesterday's news channel where we watch CNN so you don't have to. Tonight, Scott Jennings joined NewsNight with Abby Phillip as the panel reacts to the government finally reopening. And as usual, Ana Navarro turns it into a morality play about Republicans being cold-hearted. Anyway, let's watch Scott Jennings cut through the spin and expose who really kept the government shut down. Let's go.
He's not committing to it or not committing to it. And this is the very thing that Democrats were afraid of, that if they capitulated, that the subsidies would not be dealt with. How do you respond to that? There are a lot of people worried about how expensive their health care is about to get.
Yeah, first of all, Congressman, congrats on your book. Honored to be with you tonight. Second, look, one thing that came out of this entire fight is that the healthcare system in this country has been, Obamacare, has been exposed as a complete and utter failure. We all know it now. Everybody admits it. The other thing that came out is that Democrats are willing to make people suffer. And you heard Democrat after Democrat today say, well, we just couldn't prolong the suffering. So they admit that their political tactics were designed to inflict suffering on the American people. We also learned about cynical politics in this. But the overall issue of health care is going to have to be dealt with because the system has failed. Everyone, I think it's bipartisan now, admits it. But I'm not sure that having Mike Johnson commit to giving billions of dollars to insurance companies for insurance that's not getting any better, it feels like it's getting worse to the American people, is going to make a difference. I could see Democrats and Republicans coming together to discuss that, like if we're going to spend this amount of money, should we be just giving it to insurance companies or should we be doing something else with it that would actually have a chance of making it feel like you could get seen by a doctor and get a better health outcome? But what we're doing now, writing checks to health insurance companies, is not getting us any better outcomes at all.
But I think what we saw also, I think what America saw, particularly people who were directly impacted and suffering, is they saw that Donald Trump does not give a damn. While people were going hungry, while federal workers were making lines that went round blocks, he was in Mar-a-Lago golfing or hosting lavish parties with seafood towers and caviar and champagne. Not at one point did he say, we have got to convene, I'm going to lead, I'm going to put Republicans and Democrats in a room around a table, like he did with Palestinians and Israelis, and we're going to craft a deal. We are all Americans and we have to figure this out. No, I mean, he just completely abdicated his duty to lead. And when he wasn't hosting a Great Gatsby party, he was giving $40 billion of U.S. taxpayer money to Argentina to bail out those people. Doesn't sound very America first to me. And so I think that put a light on the kind of precedent that people.
All right, let's sort this whole thing out. I'm sure you've all heard Democrats on TV saying Republicans are starving Americans by refusing to open the government. I know they lie on here all the time, but how do they keep getting away with this? Republicans did vote to reopen it over and over and over and over and over. The only reason Democrats blocked it was because they wanted to slip back in the expanded Obamacare subsidies that were already eliminated earlier this year in the big beautiful bill. The same subsidies that cost roughly $18 to $20 billion a year. It's not about feeding families. That's about resurrecting a political trophy from the COVID era that was supposed to expire. So why did Democrats really keep it closed? The answer is not compassion, it's politics. Republicans said, fine, let's fund the government, but without any extras right now. And when the clean continuing resolution finally passed to reopen the government today, those subsidies stayed out. The government reopened, taxpayers saved billions, and the party that claimed to care about hungry Americans turned out to be the ones keeping the door shut. So maybe you guys can help me understand. On what planet does anyone believe that it was Republicans actually starving Americans? And while Ana Navarro says some really stupid things in the clip we're about to watch, we've heard her go down this talk track before, claiming federal workers are lining up at homeless shelters for food. Really? Like, how do they keep letting her get away with saying this? The average federal employee makes over $90,000 a year and gets full back pay after every shutdown. Were there isolated cases of hardship? I'm sure there were. But the idea that thousands of DC bureaucrats were in soup kitchen lines is pure theater. Literally just a talking point designed to make Republicans look heartless. Back to it.
Scott, with all respect, you cannot put on the American people that Democrats were the one that were hurting people, making this plight.
Who was casting the votes against opening the government? Democrats or Republicans?
Who was wanting to
cut? Who was casting the votes?
Scott, who was wanting to cut SNAP benefits?
Nobody.
And who,
Republicans,
and who was
Republicans
playing up?
voted
Who
to
was
fund
playing
SNAP
up? Who was playing up
15
SNAP
times.
benefits after 2 courts ruled that it was unallowed?
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times. Democrats voted to defund it 15
And you talk
times.
about
And
the
now it
affordable.
took, and we had to
talk
get
about
8
the
to join
affordable
us.
health care. You talk about the Affordable Health Care Act. Okay,
It's terrible.
Landmark legislation is not perfect. We understand that Democrats,
That
Republicans,
is
independents,
an understatement.
70% of Americans, not Democrats, not just independents, 70% of Americans believe that they should increase those subsidies past the dead mark of December, the COVID era subsidy benefits. So it's a huge, huge thing that Democrats, Republicans, 70% agree with. And look, when it comes to the government shutdown, I was of the persuasion that to go for it, I didn't really get it. Democrats wanted a fight. They got a fight. Chuck Schumer, back in last year, didn't fight. He got a lot of flack for it, particularly in his home state of New York. So they wanted a fight, but they found a fight that was worth fighting with talking about the Affordable Health Care Act. People were with them. Democrats were leading in the polls. We won big on Tuesday.
That's what it was for, right? It was for the election, right?
Well, I think we should have kept going. What I don't understand, and which I would love others to help me out and understand, I don't understand why we caved so soon when the American people, it seemed to be on our
Because the
side.
election ended. You just said it. It was for the election.
Listen,
the election ended.
hold
Then
on
it
a
came.
second.
I know a lot of Republicans. I know a lot of Democrats. They're cut from different cloths. They are
voted
not the
to keep
types
the
that
government.
they're
They voted
not
repeatedly to do it. I mean, you just heard Democrats
And what
on
was
our
Donald
air.
Trump doing in the meantime?
He doesn't have a vote in the
Trump is-
legislature.
No, he's the
You
president
just-
of the United States,
you just-
the most
Anna,
powerful president
Anna,
with
we
Republicans
just
in my
played-
lifetime,
we just
Scott.
played-
He never once even told them, come back to Washington.
we just played
You guys
Democrat-
have been out of Washington for a month and a half.
Correct.
A month and a half.
Anna,
I'm
we
gonna
just
let
played
Brianna
Democrat
get a-
after
get a
Democrat
word in.
admit that the Democratic plan to prolong the shutdown was causing, quote, suffering. That was their words, not mine. Democrats themselves realized the tactic of suffering was no longer something they could personally stomach. That was their party, not Republicans.
Only 7 Democrats voted for this.
8.
Not Democrat after Democrat. No.
He caucuses with the
There were
Democrats.
7.
He
and
made
then-
caucus with it.
Don't split
He's
hairs.
an
He
independent.
caucuses with the
And you're
Democrats.
absolutely right. You're
I
right.
know exactly.
Democrats did fold because Trump was wagering the American people's health, safety, and food security
Dylan-
on
So-
politic games.
We
And
kept-
the
we kept
Democrats, the
voting
one
no.
silver lining I see that
I
we can
wanna
be
jump in
proud
here
of
too now.
as
I'm gonna
Democrats
let you
is we
jump in.
folded because we're the party of humility and humanity.
Diana,
Do you hear them congratulating themselves? That idiot actually said the Democrats found a fight worth fighting. A fight worth fighting? Millions of Americans were missing paychecks and wondering how to feed their families. It's not noble, it's reckless. Scott Jennings calls it exactly what it was, a strategy. Drag out the pain, blame Donald Trump, then ride the outrage into Election Day. And it worked. They won big Tuesday. But at what cost? Then the genius Ana Navarro jumped in saying she knows both parties and that Democrats are cut from a different cloth, that they're not cold-hearted like us mean old Republicans. Really? The party blocking every vote to reopen the government is the one with the big heart? If Americans were with them, as that other idiot said on the panel, it's because they were misled about who was actually fighting to get paychecks moving again. Democrats didn't win a moral fight. They won a messaging war, while real people paid the price. Everything that Ana Navarro and the guy sitting next to her said about this shutdown was the opposite of reality. This shutdown wasn't about compassion. It was about control. But what do you guys think? Were Democrats right to hold out, or did they let Americans suffer for political gain? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you want to see more examples of how this all plays out, go ahead and click one of the videos on the end screen. Anyway, that's it for this video. Real quick, something just dawned on me. I might be setting a YouTube record for the most consecutive videos of never asking you to like and subscribe. Because I figure, hey, you guys know to do that. But I'm breaking that streak today. If you're not subscribed, could you please do so? I'd really, really appreciate it. Otherwise, always put God first. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Didn't you hear me? I said click on the next video, man. Come on.